Welcome to New York Session live stream. So our whole analysis for GPJPY was shorts below 165.400 area. Prices do keep moving down to potentially test the area almost like 23 pips away at 165.100, and if we break below 165.100 we will test 165 area, and prices are now moving down. At this point, I avoided trading GBP JPY in Forex London session because we have very little to no volume. If we look at M30 candles, it will confirm our thesis that we have little to no volume. Maybe because it is the end of June month. So I sort of stayed away from GBP JPY, and even for New York session I will stay away from GBP JPY trades. However, let's look at gold. In gold we sort of identified that there will be low quality trades above 180 1817 buys. So I was basically waiting for price to do some sort of fake out above 1870 and continue moving down, but these candles didn't give me any chance to enter in short trades. Later on we tested the region above 1814, closed below and continued moving down, but I stayed away from these trades. What I want is volume. I can I was anticipating low or little to less volume in gold. That's why I avoided trading gold. I hope there will be some sort of volume in New York session and we may find some accurate entries in New York session. So for now, yeah, as we usually do, we do need to wait. We need to wait for candles to close. So I have started the live stream earlier, but I will wait for almost an hour and a half before I anticipate or enter in any trade. But we will be waiting. We need to basically wait for, I would say, at least an hour and a half for prices to give us some sort of price action that we recognize and that we will trade, and we will be good at that point. So we are just waiting. It will be a long wait game. Now if we break above 1817 area, and then we can probably buy above 1817 area. So this whole idea for shorts is now invalid, and yes, we are basically waiting for prices to come up from an other resistance and continue moving down or break above 1817 for buys. So 1817 will now play an important role in today's trading. So we are just waiting at this point. Buys above 1817, shorts if prices create resistance is resistance to potentially retest the lows, to potentially retest those, but currently we are just waiting. And in GBP JPY there is nothing. I will rather close chart in GBP JPY, or maybe for now this whole idea is invalid. So this idea is still valid, that price action is not developed yet, but the important thing I am waiting in GBP JPY is volume. I am waiting for volume to appear in GBP JPY. Gold, although we have moved like 120 pips down, but the whole move down was very slow, and it didn't give us any chance to enter in these trades. So what I will do, I will rather be waiting at this point. So the whole idea in gold was prices can still retest lows at 1806 area. In H4 we have basically broken all these wicks. So yes, basically I am waiting for a resistance form to potentially short go short in gold, but at this point we are just waiting. Today I still believe that we will get some amazing entry later into New York session, but today is also the last day of month June, so we are very careful with our trades and with our trade ideas. So basically I have adjusted my trading plan because I am I am not I am now allowed to take two trades per day, but those trades should be taken on only the patterns that I recognize from past, the two patterns that I have explained in 27th June live stream. So it is in our best interest to wait, because price action is not developed yet in gold and in GBP JPY. Forex trading is 99.99% patience and 1% execution in my opinion, because we wait for so long for entries and our entries usually end in 2 to 3 minutes, most of our entries, but this is the way things are. So the 15-minute candle in gold is now closed. In GBP JPY we have closed bearish, but that's not the point. The point is we are just staying away from this pair due to number of reasons. The reasons that I have already explained. In GBP JP in gold we have broken above the high and we are just consolidating. We are trying to break above, but the overall trend is bearish. We are waiting for resistance to form and so that we can keep a potential short entry. I may not be able to find an entry for today, but it is okay for me. But I need to stick to my plan that I will only trade once a pattern that I recognize from past pairs. However, I have seen that those patterns usually appears once or twice a day, so there is a high probability for that pattern to appear, but we are just waiting at this point. First we need to wait for M30 candle close in almost 14-15 minutes. and then we will redo our analysis. We are just patient. Today live stream will be very boring because patterns are far from being developed, and it will take a long time for us to enter in trade. But it's okay. I am doing this live stream basically to improve my focus and discipline. I am not doing it to please anybody or somebody. So that is why it's okay for me that I will be waiting for my trade, and yeah, that's it. we are just waiting at this point, and M30 candles are closing in 3 minutes, and we will see how these M30 candles will close, and then we will reanalyze. M15 candle is now closed, but we are just waiting at this point. M30 candle is basically giving us no information, so we are just waiting. So M30 is now testing the lows. We are also approaching a rejection area in GBP JPY. This whole move down was very risky, very difficult, very tricky to capture. So for me, it is okay to stay away from these. So, gold, we are breaking below that low, and still there is a probability for price to keep pushing down till 1807 area. Yes, I still believe that some sort of move will appear after New York session. Later, when we head later into New York session, we can find some moves, but for now, we are just waiting. Broken below the low in gold in first 4 minutes, but I am very reluctant to enter at this point, and I will stay away from gold at this point. Let's see. Yeah, so there is some sort of resistance between 809 to 80 810 to 816 1816, around 34 pips, but we don't know where it can reject. This move down is a messy move down. If we look to left in GBP JPY, the whole idea why we stayed away from this move, because there were a lot of problems to the left, and prices do move down, but it wasn't a it wasn't a clean move down. And if we would have entered in this trade, we probably would have hit our complete stop loss because of very low volatility. Today is last day of June, so we will be waiting. I am just waiting for a trade in gold. I will stay away from GBP, JPY, and I am just waiting at this point. Down move happened in gold in almost 1 minute. It dropped like 30 pips in less than 10 seconds. So this is what I was waiting for, and it was basically the same idea that presented yesterday. Above this high, prices just spiked in less than 1 minute. So the same thing happened over here. So it is now 40 pips down move. Actually, I was anticipating that price will break below 1814 area, as I have mentioned, and it will keep pushing down. But the only problem was that we the pattern wasn't clear enough for us to enter into shorts, else I would have entered in short. If we look to yesterday pattern, let's look at what yesterday happened. Pattern yesterday price broke above this thing, ranged in this area for some time, and then continue pushing down. But today the problem is the trend is bearish. If even if this thing appears, there will be a short-lived buys almost 50 to 60 pips, or if we form some sort of a resistance, there is high probability for price to keep pushing down. But at this point it is a good thing, because it sort of indicates that we will find some sort of entry later into New York session, but we need to wait, and we are waiting for some confirmations. continued its push down. This was actually a move we were expecting for past 2 weeks, it but this thing appeared at most inappropriate place, I will say. But this was the move that we were expecting, and yes, still there is a probability that we can find some trades at NYC Open or later into New York Session, but those trades will be risky as compared. So we will see what will happen. Basically, our whole idea was that if we break below 1828 area, sorry, 1818 area, there is probability for prices to keep pushing down till 1806 area. The whole idea was from daily time frame. Yeah, we have a massive move down, and we are just waiting at this point. We might find some entries, but basically it is just a game of patience now. have moved around 163 pips on this daily candle. So if we look at news, do we have any news at this point? Oh, I think it was the fact of this news. So let's see. So if a monthly candle is closing in about 11 hours, let's look at monthly. There is still a probability that monthly candle will leave a wick below, and so let's see if we can find some trades. But basically it is now just a game of patience. Basically rejecting from this area, we have rejected like 38 pips from the low. Basically we are just waiting at this point. We are just exercising our patience at this point, and prices are keep moving down. Our whole analysis for today is of shorts. If we look, this is what we have written at the beginning of this day start, that there is high probability for prices to keep moving till 1806 area, and prices have moved bearish, but we were unable to take any advantage of this bearish move. But still we are just learning, and there is high probability we will learn a lot from this. So I'm taking few minutes of break at this point. basically waiting in gold. In gold, volume is there. If we break above 1806 area, there is still a high probability for prices to keep moving up till 1809 area, but we are basically waiting for more confirmations at this point. For me, if my pattern doesn't appears, I can still take one trade, and if my pattern appears, I can take two trades. So depending on the market situation, I can assume that it is difficult for my pattern to appear now because there are only 2 hours left before I will go off. So I will anticipate a small buy against the trend above 1806 area, but that trade will be very risky and I will be very careful, and I will not use my full risk on this trade. And even if I don't execute that trade, I am okay with that. It is okay for me to miss a trading day where I don't see any opportunity. There was still an opportunity in London session. I When prices were like this, I anticipated that there is high probability for prices to test 1806 region today. Today was important because today is last day of the month. The monthly candle is closing in 11-12 hours, and prices do move exactly the way I wanted them to move, but I didn't see anything that that presented me to enter in this trade. This trade was very difficult to take, so I am okay with missing this trade instead of taking a loss on something that I don't recognize. We are just waiting at this point, most probably waiting for current M15 candle to close. Need to wait for 6 minutes to for this candle to close, and then we will see. At this point, it is wise for us to wait. In the meantime, let's look at Bitcoin in monthly time frame. Monthly candle is strong, bearish candle, and there is a very high probability in the next 2 to 3 days we can drop huge. But I also believe that there is a probability for prices to move up from this point, but we are dropping huge in monthly. I have never ever seen something like this in my career. The trend to the downside seems so strong that it might even end up dropping to 5,000. But I will see what I can do with that. We are just waiting. At this point, we need to wait for 2 more minutes for this M15 candle to close. we will I am basically anticipating that we will create some sort of range in this area, but we will see where that range will complete itself, and there is still a probability for prices to move up. So the M15 candle in gold has closed like this. There is still a probability that if we break above this wick we can keep pushing up, but at this point I am just waiting. NYSE open is in almost 13 minutes, and we have Comet Comics in 3 minutes, so it is advisable to wait for these. pushing price down, and yes, there is still very high probability for prices to move at least to 1802 area, but it is we are just waiting at this point. Are basically waiting for this M30 candle to close, and it is just a wait game for now. GBP JPY, we are staying away from GBP JPY. Wait for 5 more minutes at this point. So we have now a valid resistance at 1806 area. If we were able to break above these wicks, there is high probability for prices to keep pushing up till 1810 area, and this is the point I will be interested in entering longs. However, I am just waiting. If this scenario appears, I will go full risk on this trade, and on the other hand, if we are able to break below 1803 area, then we will have so the whole point is that we have this 1806 area as H4, strong H4 support, I will say. So prices are moving down and down. This H4 candle will close in almost 33 minutes. Once this candle close, there can be a probability in which next H4 candle wicks up first, so it may give us some like 20-30 pips on that trade. So I am just waiting at this point, and we have next major support at 1800 to 1798 area. This is a strong support area, almost 50 pips below the current prices. But support doesn't mean that price is gonna reject from that support, or prices trend gonna reverse that from that support. It doesn't works like that, and it doesn't means that. So we are very careful at this point. Are now breaking below 1802, 1803 area. Last 20 minutes. This is a very risky trade, but I will paper trade this great idea that if we break below 1803 area, below these wicks, we can keep pushing down till 1800, at least 22 pips away. But that is just an idea, and I will be more prone of this was my trade. I wanted to enter into buys at this point. Right over here, if prices move, give me an entry point at this area. This is the trade idea executed on 5 minutes with 14 pips of stop loss, but this is very risky trade at this point. TP will be around till this area around 20 pips. and I am getting ready. There is high probability that I will be able to find trade. Okay, I am getting myself prepared to enter into longs above 1806 area. I will place my stops around 20 pips, but I do wanted to see the things to enter in this trade. Most probably I will be able to find a trade in next 30 minutes, and I will go with full risk. Okay, our risky trade has now hit our TP around 20 pips, but I will be executing a buy position above 1806 area. But I want next candle to start breaking above 1806 area so that I can execute this buy position by lowering my risk. So we are just waiting. We need to wait for 12 more minutes. Okay, this trade is now active. This is my potential stop. Expecting prices to keep moving up till 1810 area. This was trade I wanted to take on my real account. I was getting ready, but the problem with this trade is that if I enter on this trade, my SL will be around 40 pips, and I want some sort of retest of area at 1806 to potentially enter in long trades. I don't like trades with big stop loss, that's why I have avoided this trade. But this trade is like 20 pips profit on demo trade. At this point I will close like everything, put my stop loss at break even, and yes. So you see, it was very risky trade idea to enter above at 1804 area to potentially get 40-50 pips in a matter of seconds. And basically I am just waiting for my entry on my real account. So basically I have missed a lot of moves in gold. Today I was potentially getting myself ready for shorts below 1814 area. Shorts do represent themselves. It dropped like 120 pips my from the entry that from the position that I have mentioned, that there is high probability for prices to keep moving bearish below 1814. And at the beginning of day I anticipated when price was around 1817 area that there is high probability for prices to test 1806 region, and prices do exactly move as I wanted them to move, but I was unable to execute this trade on my real account because the prices go lower. uh, Prices do move as I wanted them to move, but it didn't give me any chance to enter. And later on, we basically executed two trades idea. Once we started breaking above 1804 area to potentially hit this target around 26 pips, and next was when we broken above 1806 area around 20 pips of stop to potentially get 20 pips. We secured at around 20 pips, but at this point we are just waiting. Maybe we can find an amazing trade later on. Now it is a matter of time. Almost 7 minutes left in this 15 minutes candles to close. We will see how this candle will close. So the gold basically have moved up on the news that I considered to be a low impact, but it created an amazing impact at this point. At this point we are just waiting. There is nothing much left at this point. Just wait. We are waiting for M15 candle to close. We executed excellent buy position with 15 pips stop, and we secured at 21 pips. But so today the trading in gold was very tricky because it gave us little to no patterns to enter. Today was trending day. In trending days I usually miss a lot of moves. I am still trying to capture moves on trending day, but this is the way things are. That is the thing I hate the most about gold. It gave us no chance to enter, but this is the way things are. At this point, I will delete everything and I will redo my analysis. I may be able to find some amazing trade at this point. So I need to redo my analysis. Gold keeps on moving up and up. It has moved like 100 pips up. Oh my god. I guess I have missed the whole thing over here. This move up happened in just like 130 pips of up move in previous 2 minutes. At this point, let's look at news. I guess there will be some sort of news regarding gold, but there is no news in here. So this whole move of 100 pip almost happened in previous 5 to 6 minutes. We waited for this move for so long, but I guess the odds were against us today. So we will remove every drawing and I will wait for next 30 minutes. I might be able to find some trades, but this trade idea buys above 1804 by placing stop loss at 1802 was an excellent trade idea, but we are just waiting at this point. We need to wait for few more seconds. M15 candle has moved all the way up from 1802 to 1820, but still there is a high probability if we find some sort of confirmation to enter into buys in this area, we might move up till 1831 area. But the whole point is we'll be able to capture this buy move above 1821 area. So I do need to wait at this point. I still believe that an opportunity for us to trade can appear in next hour and 15 minutes. Almost in next 75 minutes we will be able to find some amazing trades, but we need to wait at this point. Okay, at this point, if the current M15 candle started breaking above 1822 area, there is probability that we can keep pushing up till 1830 area. So I will be looking for buys. So today I was unable to find some trades, and no trading for me today, and tomorrow I may find some excellent trade. Today I have basically two trade ideas in gold. Once price was at 1817, I was anticipating price to keep moving down till 1807 area. And once prices were in this range, I was anticipating that if we break above 1806 area, we will be able to find a buy trade till 1812, and my stop loss was around 15 pips, but I didn't execute this trade on my real account. So at this point, I will rather paper trade this trade. There is very high probability for prices to keep moving up, but my stop loss is way huge at this point, around 36 pips. So it doesn't make any sense for me to enter in this trade, but still there is very high probability that it can move like 100 more pips to the upside. But I will not execute this setup on my real account because I don't have an experience trading. Whenever a huge move like this happens, I have an experience to trade whenever we are ranging like this, and I am pretty good at capturing the breakouts. But at this point, it doesn't make any sense for me to enter on buys, but I will be waiting for some sort of support formation here to potentially keep moving up. And I am okay to miss a trading day for today. I am basically waiting for H4 candle to close, and I am waiting for H1 candle to close. We are just waiting for candles to close. We are waiting for candles to close. H4 candle will close at this point. H1, M30, M15, all candles are closing in almost 3 minutes. So we are just waiting. So I guess nothing for us today also. At this point I will close my live stream. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new month. New month